Welcome to a VO's Journey podcast. That is right. We are back for episode number 281, and I'm super thrilled. I have Gabby Nistico and Kathryn Siggers here today, and we are going to have an incredible conversation. So please make sure you stick around, you listen. We are launching something very exciting, and I want to just get right into it. All right, let's do it. This is VO's Journey. With your host, the incomparable Anthony Pica. All right. I can't believe we are finally doing another podcast. It's been a while. I have with me two amazing, incredible women, Gabby Nistico and Kathryn Siggers. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Lovely.
It's so good to have you. And, today's podcast is a very special one. We are, for the first time, adding a very exciting piece to VO Journey, and that is a women's group. And I have brought on our two coaches to talk about our women's group that we are adding to a VO's Journey. We are launching it here very soon. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into what we're doing, the what, when, how, where, why kind of thing, and get started. So with Gabby and Kathryn, kind of take us through, the idea, this idea in general, what we're doing, and how it's kind of come about. Either can start.
well, first and foremost, we decided to take over. We just want to make that clear.
Yes.
I can confirm that is correct.
Yes. This was, it seemed like it was really funny because it was just, I felt like it was a passing suggestion and then it took on a life of its own very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Because we all just believed in it so strongly. The voiceover industry is seriously lacking a place for women to talk performance, to talk tech, to talk marketing, to talk about the unique needs of female performers. And it has been a really long time since we've had a constructive place where we're fostering this and where women are just going over all of the things, the learning opportunities, the questions, just everything. I mean, I feel like we make up 20% of the industry, but there's not enough there. And it's ironic because we're 20% of the industry, but we're not 20% of the castings. We're a much larger percentage than that.
Well, I was going to say, that's such an interesting number to me because 20%, I mean, it's amazing how much is out there available for women and how much women are doing. I mean, it's at least half, if not more in some cases.
Absolutely. And so I think, when I first brought it up, Kat was like, yes, you had me at women. Yes, let's do that.
Pretty much. My dad the other day, I was talking to him about doing this and he was like, oh, you doing that feminist stuff again?
Oh, no.
I love him. He's so supportive. But I was like, Dad, I said, excuse me. I said, this is actually very important for our industry. And then I explained it to him of what we were doing and why we were doing it. And he was like, oh, I understand now. Because don't get me wrong, we've had a lot of family dinner discussions around feminist stuff, as he likes to call it. But I do think, as soon as you said it, I was like, I am on board. Anything that mentions women, I'm there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I just think that it's, like I said, it's long overdue. The Academy has always done such an amazing job of fostering an incredible community to begin with. So it only seems like a very organic evolution for that community. And so we, in the spirit of academics and the Academy and all the things that a VO's Journey has been, it's a sorority. Yay!
Absolutely. And I love this idea. I mean, as many people know who followed my journey and Avio's journey, I've been an actor my whole life, but equally as much an educator. And I've always believed in the power of education and knowledge and how that in itself can propel us to do amazing things. And, having coached so many people now, it's always been evident to me that women have a different experience in our industry than men. And I do think it's also because we work with people all around the world. And there are people from different parts of the world who have different opinions, who see, people differently. And I've always been aware of that because I work with a lot of women as well and coach a lot of women. So I was so excited about this idea because I think it is something too that it will help be a community to go and be able to speak about things that you're going through, which I'm interested now to ask you ladies. Let's kind of dive into what we are going to be, doing in this group. And, we've already, it's really exciting because we've already had a couple of meetings with a lot of our ladies in VO Journey to, learn more about what they're looking for and they're interested in. So kind of start talking to us about what you ladies have discovered and what we're thinking about this group being, about moving forward.
Yeah, Kat, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can do. So I think more than anything is quite prevalent that women just don't know how to big themselves up is really the only way I can describe it. Like women are so reserved when it comes to that. And as a business owner, you have to learn to get comfortable with that. So I feel like that's something that's going to be quite key in what me and Gabby are going to be teaching. As well. And this was something that I don't think I'd ever really thought about before discussing it with Gabby was the way that your audio is processed is different from a man. And I've been doing VO for God knows how many years now, and I didn't even consider it. I just found my own way to do it. But when I reflected back on it, I went, oh, wow. There actually is nothing that I've personally found out there for women to go, oh, actually, this is how I should be processing my audio as opposed to the way a guy's processing his audio. And I think that would be so helpful, hopefully.
We have some amazing, amazing tech men in our industry. And I love them and I respect them. And I've worked with so many of them, Anthony included. But there is something different. And I have found in the producer chair, being a producer, an audio producer for as long as I've been, if we take the standard presets that most men use and apply them to a woman's voice, something's off. Something is just a little lacking. And so, yes, like Kat, like you're saying, the women in voiceover who've been doing this professionally for a long time, we've just sort of figured it out.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about it. And I'm like, and now there are some amazing female audio engineers that I work with on a regular basis and female producers. And like, we want to get them involved and have them, we're planning some guest speaking panels with them so women can kind of hear directly from them the sorts of things that they're doing differently, which I think is really important. Even things like microphone selection, right? It's not one size fits all. Biologically, we're just different. And I mean, that's okay, but somebody's got to address these needs, and I'm glad it's going to be us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you guys recently did some you guys have been taking copious amounts of notes. And I love getting you all are great at it. I get these reports. You guys have all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is great. There's a lot here. So talk to me. So you guys talked about the tech, and we know how important that is. And my goodness. And it's so interesting that you bring it up because I know from a man's standpoint, when I'm working with men, it's very evident that we have deeper voices, mm-hmm. and a lot that you see out there from the men addresses this challenge that we have, Whereas when working with women, that's not a challenge that women have. So they're right. So in a lot of times, I think from a men's standpoint, when they're doing, it's kind of like, hey, you don't have to worry about it. Good. Right. But that doesn't address what then women need to worry about. Right. So I mean, I totally agree with you on the tech side. So let's talk about a lot of other things that you have been finding out from, talking to all the ladies and what we want to do. So kind of chime in either, one of you, what are some other things that you want to do in this group?
We've had an amazing opportunity to do a bunch of different little focus groups with the women inside the academy and to get their input and their feedback. And we're hearing all about the types of performance challenges they're facing, and we're hearing a lot about the business challenges. And I think the business challenges for me were the most shocking. Some of the one that I've really been spending a lot of time thinking about is the perfectionist model, that a lot of the women in voiceover feel like they have to be perfect, and they're competing at this not only competition against other women, which we want to kind of minimize that idea, but also against the industry as a whole, and men. They feel like they have to be 100% all the time. And wow, I mean, as any business owner knows, that's not the case. It's just not. And so helping to address some of the fears, helping to address some of the pitfalls. There's a lot of lack of confidence, right, Kat? That was the big one.
Major. I was shocked, actually.
Right? And I'm like, ladies, what is going on? Like, let's pose. Let's get out there. Let's put our like, come on. Like, we're amazing. Where is this coming from? And it's a feeling of I don't know. And that sense of I don't know is causing a lot of women in voiceover to kind of shrink. And we want to completely invert that, because that's crazy. They should not. They should be out there, and they should be confident, and they should be promoting their business, and they should be bold in their efforts. And so there's probably a lot of failure to launch that we just don't see from women in the industry because of some of these fears. And so, well, the only way to conquer them is to talk about them. It's to get it out in the open. It's to address it. And I think
definitely
sharing experience, that's such a big one, right? If people don't know that there are others like them. My group last week when we met, they were like, who should our heroes be? Like, who should our idols in voice acting be? And who are, the men are always looking up to these same handful of guys. Like, who is it for us? And I'm like, ho, do I have some ladies to introduce you to? Like, this is exciting. So there's that component of things. There's marketability. How do I stand out? How do I tropes even? How do I keep from? Kat was so astute when she brought up that it's about understanding, right, the different female archetypes, but also maybe taking a bold stance and rejecting some of them and saying, how do we turn them into something more empowering? Because let's be honest, some of them are not so nice. They're
yeah, exactly. And it's always, I think those female archetypes, see, you've got me going now. Those female archetypes are from a male's gaze as well. And we really need to start changing that within the industry, because I know as a woman, when I have to perform those, I don't feel very comfortable. I don't enjoy it. I'm like, why is this still normal when society has moved on so greatly?
Yeah.
It's like that speech by Reese Witherspoon. Did you ever hear it when she was at the Glamour Awards? And she was like saying that a common line in that women say in films is like, they turn to the man and they go, what do we do now? And it's like, no woman ever does that in real life. So
Never.
Why are we still putting that into films? And it's the same thing with voiceover. And so I think it could be a good place to start changing things as well. I don't know. I'm on a rampage, I think.
No, I love it. I've been watching closely. I feel like the evolution of Jennifer Coolidge is such a great example of this, because she went from being this very stereotypical kind of almost Barbie-esque performer who is comedic, and yes, she's a great actress, but now looking at her career and what she's doing, like she's making some amazing moves in taking this character that she's known for playing, but making it so much more complex, so much deeper, so much more interesting, multidimensional. And like, if you had told me in the 90s that we were going to see Jennifer Coolidge become, one of the great actors of this decade, I would have gone, what? Stifler's mom? No, that's not happening. No. But now it's amazing. And she's popping up in everything.
She's everywhere.
Yes. Yes. And she's such a great, like she is a feminist icon in my opinion, because she's taken this thing where everybody just saw, the hair and the figure and she's turned it on its head. And I think it's incredible. So,
it's almost that thing of changing things from the inside out, I suppose, as in starting with essentially our group and putting that out into the world, hopefully.
And then opening up the conversation too for women of color and for culturally and ethnically, and it's so important, because I mean, if women alone feel somewhat marginalized and neglected, then imagine how those groups of women feel.
Exactly.
So we want to level that playing field and get all of these ladies in a much, much more empowered position.
So I think, no, thank you for that. And something that I've always strongly believed in is community and family, and being together as a group to support each other, have a place to go to talk to people. And that's something that I absolutely love about this, because I think there's not as much out there as it should be, which I think is what our goal here is to bring that to the current community.
Yeah. And in a way that feels very productive, in a way that feels purposeful, and with a bit of organization, because I feel like that's sometimes lacking, right? In similar type groups, it just becomes a discussion. No, we want action mixed in with that discussion.
Absolutely. So you started to touch on it a little bit. We've talked about the coming together of the group, where we've come from. We were starting to talk a little bit about acting. We talked about tech. So from an acting standpoint, right, I think, I know from my personal experiences coaching women, what they've told me, get a lot of things that men don't, they get approached, and a lot of stuff happens to them that doesn't happen to men, from the standpoint of the things that they're asked to do, the decisions they make that are typically not, decisions, whether it's women or men asking, it's typically more asked of women, like, for example, erotica things, and also how you should be acting as a woman. And then, it's funny because, Gabby, I never forget you told me this, and it's had to have been over a year and a half ago, I think, at this point, but I'll never forget you said, and what's up with women having to be so preppy and happy all the time when they're doing, like, it's everywhere commercial. But, if you think about it, when you listen to commercials, you hear women, they never say we show women as being serious. They're always just, it's happy. If it's not happy, well, like, why is she not happy? And I'm not saying we want it to be miserable. I'm just saying, my goodness, there's so much more than that, right? So it is a stereotype, maybe, per se, that's expected. So talk a little bit about, that whole, I mean, that's a lot to talk about, but the acting side and everything that women go through.
Well, I'm gonna totally defer to Kat on this, but I'm gonna get her started with one simple thing, because what you just said, Anthony, it is the vocal equivalent of, you'd be really pretty if you smiled more, right? I mean, how many women have heard that in there? You should smile more. Like,
oh my gosh.
Did you really just say that to me? And yes, we see that bleeding over on Mike. So, it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, but Kat has some incredible insights here.
Yeah. Well, I love that comment, first of all, Gabby. I think that's actually just made my day. Yeah, I think it's, I think within the women's group, I think it's something that we've got to start, but this is just my personal perspective now. I think we've got to start teaching them that it's okay not to provide that. And it's okay not to gear your voice towards that, because actually it's so much more interesting when we don't do that. It's so much more interesting when we are sad or angry or excited, but not to the point of like, hi, I'm excited. It's just like, you know what? I'm really excited about that. And I think if we can start teaching people that that is okay, and making them, and it goes back to that self-confidence thing. It's that thing of they almost need permission to do that, because all they've ever heard is the hi, bright and happy kind of welcome and like, you know, whatever. It's I think from an acting and an emotional standpoint, showing those types of emotions hasn't been allowed before within the industry. I mean, it has, but it's not the done thing. It's not what most people want. And so I think actually I like to think of it as a slight surprise for my clients when I don't give them what they think bright and bubbly is meant to be. And actually 9 times out of 10, they will absolutely love it and there will be no problem. So I think from that standpoint, that's what we need to start teaching them, is it's okay to start doing that. Also, a common thing that came up, it actually came up in my discussion with the women this week, was how do I do a male voice in an audiobook? That was like, they were stumped. And actually, really sadly, a lot of them said that they've looked on reviews of female narrators on Audible, and the women have been slated for doing male voices. But when they look at men, the men are congratulated for doing female voices. And I thought that was a really interesting comment. Now, how true or not, I haven't verified that. I haven't looked at it myself, but that was just something a couple of the women said to me. And I think it's important. I always teach play the attitude, not the gender. I say play that personality. And that's easy to say, and I think with the class time that we do at the moment with our Performance 101 and 102 and 201, sorry, there's not the time to really teach just the females. Okay, how do you do the personality and the attitude without going, hi, I'm Steve, right? Okay, so right. I think it will be important. For me, that's an important part of teaching them, again, to feel comfortable just playing that personality and knowing that's enough. So yeah,
right,
sorry.
That was such a good point, because actually that question comes up to me so much from women too, is how do I do a male's voice? You know, it's a constant, it is a constant question I get often. So yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I haven't verified that either, but it would make sense because about the comments per se, because again, what we're talking about here, right, is how much is that actually in the industry where we're talking to women about how to do that, as opposed to it's very evident for men, right? We talk to men, okay, how do you do a female's voice, right? Well, unless we're doing something that's a farce, what you just said, play the character, not the voice pitch, right? But does that work for women, and how do, that's not being out there. So I really like that, what you're saying, because I think that needs to be addressed.
It seems like men are far less judged or scrutinized for having genuine emotion. And women are they're like stifled. They're very hesitant to be that real because they've been sort of brainwashed into thinking that it's unattractive and people don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody ever won the Oscar for being picture perfect. That's not how it goes. Historically, our greatest actors are the ones who are the most willing to be raw and to be vulnerable and to be ugly. But ugly, subjectively ugly, right? So it's kind of bringing some of that to voice acting as well.
Yeah. Because I think, and that's the thing, acting and voice acting are incredibly similar in concept, in the performance aspect of it, at least, incredibly similar. And I think it is important that we start allowing our females and our males to feel vulnerable. in the space, and to not feel like, and I think as well with the women's group, it's important that we create that safe space for them to be able to explore that before going out there and actually doing it in front of clients or for a job. You know, they have to have the place to practice.
I agree. And I want to bring up something, and I think this is at least where my mind goes to, because, you know, whenever we are working on getting, I feel, you know, a new direction going, and we're pushing harder, there's always going to be the reality also of, well, there's still a lot of people out there that want the old way it's been done. But I like to pose this, is that I think this is actually the perfect time for this, and I'll tell you why. Because of AI. And the reality is AI has taken a stereotype, a trope, and it has really commercialized that. Now is not the time to be the same. Now is the time to be raw, to be yourself, because that's what everyone is looking for, not the same bubbly AI. So I think this is a great time for this more than ever, especially for women.
Great point.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I had never thought of that before, but I like it.
But think about it, how do you differentiate yourself, right?
Yeah.
Be what AI can never be, and it is not, because, you know, and I think for women, this is the time now, which is so excites me about this, because I want a place for that to happen. I think we want that. So listen, you guys have been amazing. We've talked about a lot. What, you know, from the group standpoint, you know, there's so many resources, and we've talked about this. There's so many resources for men. And I would say, you know, as a man, whenever I, you know, as an educator too, you know, I don't go out and think, well, I'm creating resources for men. I think I'm creating resources for everyone. However, the point here is all of us are part of something that's gone on for a long time. So thinking of, well, how would it be different for a female than a man, I think is what we're talking about here. So from a resource standpoint, and this group, how many times we meet, you know, just kind of talk a little bit about what we want to create, what resources we want to also have available aside, you know, because the meeting, the coming together for classes as part of VO Journey, we're big on actual seeing the people, seeing us, talking to us, being there for each other live, but resource. So kind of talk a little bit about what you guys think resources are needed and how, you know, we can help that moving forward too.
Well, I think some of it we've already started to put in place. So the Discord channel in Avio's Journey, which for the people who don't know, it is, oh my God, it's got to be one of the most phenomenal places on the web for voice acting. It's one of the main reasons I'm here. Like, I know that's wild, but like, you know, people have gone, oh, what made you want to work with Anthony? And I'm like, the Discord. I'm like, have you seen what's going on there? Like, it's amazing. It's such an incredible place, and it's so welcoming, and it's so supportive, and it's so informative. And so we've created now, you know, a section there for the women's group. And don't worry, we're also going to make it, we're going to give the guys a fraternity as well. We're not negating that fact. Don't worry. But so that's going to be really, I think, fantastic, is for the women to have a place of their own to kind of channel and funnel questions. Kat and I are planning on doing 2 sessions a month specifically for the women's group. We're going to, you know, take turns and cover a myriad of topics that we have slated right now. We're hoping to have the actual class schedule posted here before the new year. And guest speakers, panelists, guest coaches, again, resources from throughout the industry that women need to know are available to them, and that, yeah, have really, really valuable insights that could be hugely, hugely positive on their careers. Yeah.
Can you ladies, okay, so you brought it up and I don't think we talked about it, but I love this word too cuz this is fun as well. So you mentioned the word sorority, and we didn't talk a little bit about, you did some, I thought, some incredible stuff of finding something. Talk a little bit about the sorority and the names, and just that feeling and that thought right there.
Yeah, so I wanted a club. Originally we came up with the name Vojo, which we're
Hmm.
using, VOJOW, and it stands for voiceover journey outspoken women, because I mean that's what we are. Let's be honest. And then I kind of went down the Greek lettering avenue, and I was like, what do we have here? Well, it turns out the Greek goddess Calliope is like she was the symbol of the well-spoken and the articulate. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. And so I really want these women to feel, right, that they're part of something, and that they're part of something that gives them the same as a sorority does, right? It's not just about what happens when you're in it. It's about later. It's about the connection. It's about being able to recognize a fellow sorority sister and, go, hey, let's get together and let's have lunch, or, can I get your opinion on X, Y, and Z, and feeling like it becomes a lifelong part of their career journey, and that they're never alone because they always have this sisterhood that they can go back to, and always find an answer, a friend, an inspiration, something.
And I think it's so important to have that, because voiceovers, being a full-time voice artist, you get lonely sometimes. You are talking in a box to yourself all day. And so it's so important to have that community connection. And so, yeah, I'm very excited. It's also my first sorority, because obviously we don't have them here in the UK. So I'm so excited that I get to be part of this one. I mean,
Well, it makes two of us. My mother's going to be thrilled. She's like, oh my God, finally.
oh, is this your first one as well, Gabby?
Yeah, my sister was a
Oh my God.
tri-delt. So, I had a lot to live up to there. So
I
now
mean, it
I'm like,
means
well,
nothing to me, but sure. I'm going to assume it's quite a big one out there.
you remember it probably from a lot of sketch comedy and like Saturday Night Live, because they used to
Ah.
do the Delta, Delta, Delta. Can I help you, help you, help you? That was
Oh,
their
yeah,
whole,
yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
knew that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
how funny. Well, we're in it together then.
Yeah, I know.
First time, first time. I
Yeah,
wonder what our initiation will be.
it's so great. No, there isn't. See, but that's the beauty of it, right? We're not. I think so many again, the older stereotypes of what a sorority was based on, and etiquette, and these standards of woman, we're kind of blowing the doors open on that. We're going, who cares? It's not about that. It really is about the common goal and the thing we're all here to achieve, and how we help each other along the way, and again, just create something that, you're right, take some of the loneliness out of it, because whew, yeah, the little box, man, it gets rough sometimes.
So, and I do have to point out too that through these discussions we also wanted to create a fraternity for
Mm-hmm.
men,
Yeah.
and I thought it was really clever because Gabby come up with the fraternal order
Yeah.
voiceover journeys. So I thought that was, so we called that, I think, what was it, FOVO or
Yeah.
whatever, with the
Povo.
J being silent. But
Yeah.
and I love the idea, because what we've done at VO Journey and what we are really putting into place is a collegiate type of atmosphere and feeling, but again, open and very family oriented and
Mm-hmm.
community. So, I love it. I think it's wonderful. I already want we already talked about it. We already want our t-shirts and our
Yes.
Yes,
all my stuff
100%.
about
All
it.
about it. Yeah.
Well, listen, this is, well, I'm so excited about this, and I know we, as the three of us, are so thrilled. Is there anything left that you guys want to say? I think we have talked everybody's ears off so far listening to this. Thank you all for staying around. And I do recommend, please share this too with people. Share it with whoever
It.
you think needs to hear it, and you want to hear it with your friends. We want you to bring your friends. So,
Oh.
Gabby and Kat, anything else to say right before we call it a podcast?
No, I think it's
Nope.
all been said.
I think that's it.
You said a lot. You said a lot, but I think anything you want people to take away from, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we are going to be, of course, putting this out, and people will have an opportunity to come and check out. We'll have a place on the website you can go read a little bit more about this, and you know, and we hope we're launching this. Of course, it's the middle of December, depending when we put out the podcast, but you know, we are starting right in the beginning of January. So, you know, I think anything that you two would like to say, hey, you know, this is what we are focused on, and just final words about the women's group.
I welcome feedback from any woman who has thoughts or ideas. You know, that's a big part of this, and the evolution of this is making sure that everyone has a voice and feels heard. And you know, I want to make it clear that this includes trans women as well. We're not excluding anyone. Women are women, and we also want to. Yes, please invite your friends and come along. And you know, we may have some open house type events for new pledges, you know, who want to come along. And we want you to come at least check it out, see what we're doing.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, I think I wish there was something like this when I first started my voiceover career, because I think I would be smashing it right now.
Right?
Like obviously even more than I already am. Gotta have that humble brag. No, yeah, I really do wish though that I'd had a community around me, because it's taken me so long to find that, and I've now got that through being a coach myself, which I'm so grateful for. But I think if you are especially if you're starting out and you really feel like you're paddling in the water and going around in circles, maybe come and check us out, because we'll get you swimming straight lines again.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. Remember, it's avosjourney.com, and keep paying more attention, because we're bringing back the podcast with a lot of exciting new things that are coming up in the podcast, and a lot of new fun stuff. So keep listening. Thank you guys so much for... I'm waving my hand because we can all see each other, but you guys can't see us. But anyways, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.